You see? No?
Yeah, I didn't know you were done talking. I was thinking about something completely different.
Okay. This is a mess.
It's Rachelsey at the movies! Yay!
We went and saw the movie Ne Zha.
Ne Zha.
No. I picked this movie, which is from China and is in Mandarin and has subtitles. It reminded me...
I didn't even notice. What?
Well, yeah, when I think back about the movie, I don't remember the subtitles.
No, I totally remember having to read it because you had to read super fast. They were
you did, because they were a little quick with the subtitles with how quickly they removed them from the screen, so you had to really be on your feet there. It reminded me of the movie Ponyo, and there's been a series of movies made by another Asian filmmaker that are really good. And so when I saw this one and saw that it had really good reviews or high scores on Rotten Tomatoes, and then when I saw the trailer, I was like, oh, Kelsey's going to love this. And it just looked really fun. And so we decided to go and see it. And it involves some, I'm going to say, Chinese mythology that is unfamiliar to me. And this child is created, two children are created. And one is like the spirit pearl, and the other one comes from something called the demon pill when it's translated. And it kind of follows their lives and the choices they make in their life. And the primary character is the one that is created from the demon pill, which was never supposed to happen, but it happens. And I just want to say that he's precious. So, Kelsey, I think that's all I can say without giving too much away. Go, wait, or skip.
I'm going to say go see any movie like this if you haven't seen a movie like this. Just because I found the experience of walking, I went in blind. I didn't watch the trailer. I walked into this thing and I was assaulted with sights and sounds and culture that isn't present in my everyday life. And I really, really enjoyed that experience. I thought it was really great. And then you can see the universal themes, I think, were in this movie of love. And I love seeing that on the screen. As far as like this specific movie, I don't know. I don't know if you'll like this movie. This movie is so far out there from what I'm used to watching and know anything about. I don't know anything about the culture. I don't know anything about these type of movies. I don't need anything about anything. So that's how I'm leaving it. Go see, if you haven't done this before, pick out a movie like this that I just described and go see it.
I'm also going to say go see this movie. I thought not only was the lead character just precious in like the way it was drawn for the animation, but also in the way that he acted and throughout the movie. It was also very easy, at least for me, to identify with. Like, I was able to make connections with this character. And I thought it was really good. It had a really good messages, I thought, throughout the movie. Even though it was dealing with a mythology that was completely foreign to me, I thought that the overall message was really good. And like Kelsey said, it's, yeah, like, I don't know. If you went and saw, like, Secret Life of Pets 2, why not go see this animated movie? The only caveat I would say is, depending how young your children are.
Or are you a slow reader? Then you can't go see this.
Right. How young your children, or I guess, well, this couldn't, unless your children could read subtitles, they'd have to be older anyway. My point being is that maybe some of the imagery is a little dark.
Spoilers! I was going to say, you like this movie a lot more than I thought you would, considering how many poot jokes there are.
Okay, so there is, like,
because there's a significant amount.
Some boy humor in this movie.
Not just, like, one or two. It's, like, prevalent. I mean, it's not the whole movie. I just was like, this is weird.
I only remember, like, 2 things. Not 2 things.
17 times.
3 things.
17 times.
Anyway, this movie, here's why I really liked this movie, is that you had the 2 children ended up being created. One from the spirit pearl, one from the demon pill. And the idea was the demon pill should not, like, have been, like, given life. It shouldn't have at all. But due to, you know, some people's selfish interest, this happens. And it's this little boy who would have been born as just a normal child is now born as this demon pill, which is I guess a godlike kind of being. What really resonated with me was the idea that you were not responsible for how you came into this world, but you are responsible for the choices you make.
But yeah, I thought that played nicely in the movie. I thought that especially the relationship between the mother and the child showed the powerful effectiveness of love in otherwise awful situation. You know, like she loved that. That's why the baby lived. She loved that baby. The part where she would go and play with him as a boy. What's funny also about this movie is the kid's like 2 or 3, right? And he's like,
but he's not a toddler.
He's basically like a little human.
10.
Anyway,
Yeah.
but like, and he's really powerful. But seeing her like put all that love into that relationship was moving and stirring. And a couple times I teared up in this movie because of those displays of love, or even at the end with the father.
Well, yeah, because the father was absent for some of the amount of time due to
some
like him trying
conflicts with demons,
trying to help the boy. But as it turns out, like he had a very sacrificial love, in that he was willing to give up his life so that his son could have an opportunity to live.
Yeah.
And so that I thought was really moving in the movie too.
Just a mesmerizing world of. Like, you couldn't go into... I couldn't go into this movie. I'll speak for myself. I couldn't go into this movie and predict what was going to happen.
No.
It was just like, what's going on? And, like, it was just all so new and different. And I don't know. I really enjoyed it.
That was really, like, neat about... So, like, being Americans here, right? I'm very familiar with the Judeo-Christian setup. So, like, there's all kinds of movies. Star Wars, like, that pull... from Judeo-Christian, what do you call culture, mythology? I don't know what to call it, but like, so it was really fascinating to go see a movie that, with the exception of the sacrificial love of the father, does not pull on that. I mean, this dealt with some mythology that is completely foreign to me, and I felt like it was like almost like a workout for my brain, because I had nothing. I was just like, it was all this like, oh, well, let me listen here and let me listen there and see what's happening, because I don't know what to expect, and there's something very fun about that.
Yeah.
Instead of it being expected, where you kind of go in and you're like, okay, this movie follows all the normal movie things, you know? It was just very unexpected, and it dealt with like human connection. There was a lot in here about shame. There was a lot about like people making assumptions about somebody and then treating them like really poorly, and how that can have an effect on the person's life. You kind of saw the boy who in some ways suffered from PTSD, in that he was so defensive because of how he had been treated by almost everyone in his life, that I thought that they wrote that script very well, in that there's at one point where he starts like crying because he's just made a friend, and it's the first friend that he's ever had. And when he realizes this, he immediately turns around and he gets so angry. And he's like, and the friend comes up and he's like, what's wrong? And he's like, I'm ashamed because I have emotions about this. He didn't want to share, and like, oh my gosh, like that resonates with me. Like I get super defensive when I don't want to be vulnerable, and I thought this movie did a really good job of portraying somebody that's been wounded and how they're defensive and avoid being vulnerable at all costs, but how that damages, like, is ineffective for their life too.
Yeah, really enjoyed. Just I also thought, because this movie was made by mostly, I would think, people from across the world to me. And just to see, like, the art that they created, or the sounds that they came up with, the ideas they came up with, was just really awesome and special. I really enjoyed watching this movie. And guess what, y'all? There's probably going to be a sequel, I think. I couldn't tell. There are post-credit scenes, which they warn you about. Which
yeah, they just
awesome.
tell you.
They're like, hey, don't leave.
I thought was nice, because I didn't have to look it up on my phone. Yeah.
And then
and totally set up
I was
for a
like,
sequel.
sweet, I'm all about this trilogy.
Good movie. And hey, thanks for watching Rachelsey at the Movies. And if you could do us a favor, show us some love and like, comment, and subscribe before you do whatever you're going to do.
Before you go to bed.
Yeah, before you go to bed, before you go have lunch.
Before you
go back to work while you're, you know, taking a little quick break.
Before you take another breath. Okay. What? Whoa.